Hello everybody, welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing a brand new review, and today I'm going to be talking about Bugonia, which is now out in cinemas here in the UK, having premiered at Venice and London Film Festival. It is now out, and I'm finally able to talk about the film, a film I've seen today that I've been very much looking forward to seeing, and as always I'll be giving my thoughts on that, the build-up and everything else in between. But for those of you that might be new to the channel, maybe you're watching, maybe it's a few months away, we're into award season, who knows. It's been very busy recently. We are of course a film channel and we have a lot more new reviews to come your way. We've covered London Film Festival across the last couple of weeks. It's been very busy. I'm enjoying a bit of downtime, but I am still catching the big releases at the cinemas, the films I've not been able to see at those festivals, and this is one of those, as was our last review, Ballad of a Small Player. This was much more enjoyable as an initial impression, but as always I'm going to kickstart this review talking with the IMDb plot synopsis, which is: two conspiracy-obsessed young men kidnap the high-powered CEO of a major company, convinced that she's an alien intent on destroying planet Earth. If you've seen the trailers, you know what I mean. If you weren't aware of the story, now's your chance to look at that concept, go to the cinema, see the film, come back and get my thoughts afterwards, because I absolutely adored this concept as I really kickstart my thoughts heading into this. I haven't seen that many Yorgos Lanthimos films. I saw Poor Things, I've seen The Favourite, and then this one, so I'm a fair few behind. I've not seen the big ones like Kind of Kindness, I've not seen The Lobster, and this is his third film in 3 years, which is remarkably impressive in modern filmmaking standards, and I think it's his 4th film in a row with Emma Stone in the lead as well, which is also very impressive as their collaborations continue to grow. But this was something I was sold on. The director, Emma Stone with each other. I've hit this point in my life now where I try and avoid the trailers for dramas, maybe more award season stuff. Not out of pettiness or ridiculousness, but there's films I'm intent on seeing because of the talent involved. And I've hit that point where I'm able to look forward to them without knowing anything. Sometimes it's impossible to avoid the trailers, and this is kind of where I'm going to go Bugonia to begin with heading into this film. This trailer was everywhere. Cineworld had it like every single film for a good month or two. I felt like it was unavoidable. After its Venice premiere, it had a massive reception there. It had a big reception here in London. Well, I say here in the UK, not me in London, but it has been everywhere. It's had a very prominent marketing campaign. You've had the bold screening in America where people had to shave their heads. And even the moment Emma Stone revealed that she'd shaved her head for a role anyway, that began the marketing for this film, and I've got to say it's been a very impressive marketing campaign. I was probably more attracted to seeing this film after I'd seen a trailer than before, which kind of is a bit hypocritical of what I said 30 seconds ago, but it made me excited. I'm a big fan of Jesse Plemons as well. I think he's an incredible actor, and I was excited to see him in this film paired up with Emma Stone playing the role of a conspiracy theorist. So yes, I was sold as an understatement. And I've seen the film this morning today, so I'm quite fresh on watching this. And where I'm going to kind of go, my initial thoughts is I really did enjoy this film, and I also think this is a good film as well, as much as I enjoyed it. I have to really kickstart with Yorgos Lanthimos' direction, which is important for this. A very small, intricate cast in very limited settings. Maybe a couple of scenes, not a couple of scenes, a couple of locations covering the majority of the film. And when you're playing up this corporate CEO type being kidnapped, the film sets us up in a really fantastic way in an opening scene, sticking with Jesse Plemons giving a monologue. On top of that, you get an intercut of his current life versus the life of the CEO. What has Michelle Fuller, played by Emma Stone, been up to? How does her day-to-day work go? And it leads into the kidnapping quite well. And I just thought the way in which this film was shot, a lot of long shots, a lot of stable shots, the framing, the imagery, choosing to have characters at times sit maybe like a third into the frame rather than 2/3. There's a lot of shot reverse shots with the actors in certain scenes, particularly the table scene. It was very noticeable filmmaking, and I really enjoyed this. And because I'm still quite new to his filmography, I did like... Poor Things was weird. It's the weirdest review I've ever done, because I didn't know what I thought about it after I'd seen it. And then my thoughts just changed as months and months went by, that I began to really appreciate it, understand it a little bit more. Granted, I hadn't seen it since, but it's a very strange film. And I guess this follows in those footsteps of, there's a very unique premise in this. I believe this is a remake. I don't know if it's a remake of an adaptation, or if it's a language remake, or loads of things have changed. I do not have that information. But I think that is also very much worth bringing up. But the direction for me in this film I thought was very good. And I kind of do want to go and watch Kind of Sound because I think Jesse Plemons is in that as well. But really what makes this film for me is the cast involved. And I know I spoke about Emma Stone in the lead role. I spoke about, obviously, when we find out that she'd shaved her head for a role. That does always add something to films. And I've got to be really careful how I say the next following words. When certain actors or actors do it, a lot of the time it might be for roles which they need to go bold for, whether they're playing people that have illnesses or whatnot. But it's really interesting when we have characters going bold for a reason that is story but not real life. Where I'm trying to explain that is Emma Stone being accused of being an alien, and it's part of it that, well, the aliens communicate to each other with their hair. I was kind of like, that's wild. Fair play. Go for it. Natalie Portman, V for Vendetta, gets her head shaved as well. That was a huge story when we were younger on the news. So I think it is done for story purposes. It's done in a really unique way. But it actually added to not this story, but the performances itself. Like it felt like a very different Emma Stone, I guess, from a perspective of looking at her without hair. It enables you to focus. I mean, it sounds so weird to say. It enables you to focus on her expressions more. Like, not like we're just stare at her hair, but there's something about how this film is shot and how the shots are framed and how this film has been purposefully perceived in this way that her being bold adds to it. Given the alien conspiracy stuff to go along with it, it really does stand out and it enhances her performance. The makeup artist as well has a massive credit for this. I know in story she's basically covered with mayonnaise the whole time for reasons in story as part of the conspiracy. And I just thought the hair and makeup department deserves some credit for this. Particularly the makeup on Emma Stone as well. Throughout it varies almost scene to scene. And I think without giving spoilers, like doing spoilers, it's tricky to talk about how she looks toward the end of the film compared to the early stuff. So full credit to everyone involved and rightfully putting her on the posters, the marketing for this. I thought Emma Stone was magnificent in this film. She's obviously worked so well with Yorgos in the past. Obviously she won one of her Oscars in Poor Things as well. It's not as good a performance as those, but she is still very good in this. And there are certainly 2 or 3 standout scenes for her. The table scene is the one that's going to jump to my mind. Then there's a monologue she has maybe 15 minutes afterwards. And I think she has great chemistry with the actors involved. And the other actors being Jesse Plemons and Aidan Delbis. And I'll give each of those their own moment. This might be the best role I've seen Jesse Plemons in. And I'm going to start this campaign early. I'd love to see him with an Oscar nomination for supporting actor. I don't know if he'd qualify if they put him as a lead actor. Who knows with the For Your Consideration campaigns. But Jesse Plemons was incredible in this film. From a physical standpoint, what I spoke of Emma Stone, he looked in very weird shape. He looked like he's in good shape, but the scraggly beard, the longish hair, the repetitive use of the same suit in one environment and different clothing for when he's in different parts of his day and his life. I thought Jesse Plemons was amazing in this. I think he's one of those actors that has a very unique appeal, that he isn't a household name, he isn't a star as such, but he's a great modern day character actor, and I think the time is nearing for him to get his flowers, and this is another superb performance from him. I absolutely loved the character of Teddy, this conspiracy theorist with the agenda against the world that's had to go out to find out what he believes in, and he is convinced he's dedicated his life to this conspiracy because of something that's happened to him in his personal circumstances. It's a really touching role, and apologies if you can hear bangs, it's fireworks going off even though it's the 1st November, not the 5th, or Halloween. But I adore Jesse Plemons in this. I think he's great. He had superb chemistry, as I said, with Emma Stone. And I've got to talk about Aidan Delbis playing the role of Don, his cousin. This was one of the breakout performances of the year for me. He is playing his cousin. He is part of the conspiracy, but he is very much somebody that has been led by his cousin into doing this. He isn't free to have his own thinking. He is told what to do. And there is a great back and forth pulling of Emma Stone against him, Jesse Plemons against him, who can align him with their values and beliefs, because he might be the key in unravelling this and allowing the CEO to get out from her imprisonment. And he really does ask the question of, not Are You an Alien, because that's a big part of the trailers, as we know, but what is out there for him in this wider world? What is out there for him in this world? And I think he's a very innocent character in this story, which is led by two absolute stalwarts in Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone. So the performances made this for me. I do think it's the best part of the film. Talking the thematics as well, I loved the conspiracy theory element. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think there are some of the most incredibly dangerous people in the world, and this film does one hell of a good job at demonstrating the absolute insanity that can go into a conspiracy theory. Seeing that people are convinced by themselves when there are appropriate mechanisms by businesses, by doctors, people want to feed off echo chambers, you name it. This film taps into the concept of conspiracy theory, and in the year of 2025 it's so much more important to see this tackled in a film. And I think the film makes some daring storytelling mechanisms to try and push that further and further. And where I'm kind of going with that is into maybe the thing that doesn't work for me, which is something I want to sit on, and I might, if this has an Oscar campaign, maybe I'll talk about it around Oscar season a bit more. The thing that didn't work for me in this film, and I do think this is a good film, I have an issue with the ending. I can't do spoilers on this review, so it's really tricky to talk about. I think it's a very divisive ending, and that's me who hasn't spoken to anybody about the ending. It might not work for some people, it might work for others. It almost functions as an epilogue, but it does give a definitive answer to the question that the characters and stories have posed throughout. Whether some people think it's in a comedic way, a horrific way, a dramatic way, I do not know. I cannot answer that. Right now, within 8 hours of seeing this film today, I don't like the ending as much. Not that I don't think it doesn't work. It's a very powerful ending. I just wish this film had a bit more ambiguity in its ending. And that's not me saying, what do I want, what do I think, demand this, demand that. I just don't think the ending reflected on what a great sort of 1 hour, 50 minutes we had leading into that ending. There's a moment it could have ended, and it still could have answered a question in a different way, but the film takes a very different approach, a more daring approach, and it certainly leaves memorable images for the eye to see for a lifetime, I guess we could say. And I guess there's a credit to that, and that's what I want. I'd much rather have a film I can talk about, a film that's divisive, a film that maybe works in some parts and not all, but I am curious to know what other people are going to think of this, and this kind of heads into my final thoughts on this review. I have enjoyed this film. I do think it's a good film. I do think it's worth seeing. Now, whether you see it at the cinema, I do not know. There's not too many good films out at the moment. It probably will end up streaming in a couple of months' time, and I could see it maybe having a life of its own, but it's such a unique sell away from the cast. And I understand why Emma Stone is at the forefront of this marketing campaign, but I'd love to see people get the opportunity to see this, to decide for themselves. And I appreciate a film more that wants to do something daring in its storytelling than playing safer options, which has my vote. So I think I am recommending this film. I know I don't do grading. Behind the scenes, it's something I'm curious about doing in the future on reviews next year. But it is a recommendation for me. Whether it be at the cinema, that's up for you to decide. Whether it be at home, that's also up for you to decide. But I'm glad I went to the cinema to see this film. I'm glad I saw it actually outside of festival season, because I had a bit more time to think about this compared to doing this then going back into 2 more films straight after. I've liked that I've sat with this for a day so far, and I'll continue to sit with this. I'll now be able to read up on what people have said about this, but certainly this is one of the better films of the year. If you're looking for great performances and interesting storytelling, this is one for you, and that's how I'm rounding out this review. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. What reviews are coming next, you might be saying? I don't know. We're heading into November. It's a busy time. We've done the festival. There's a lot of reviews that went up there, so thank you to everyone that watched them. I know Predator Badlands comes out on Friday. I do have to see it, unfortunately. I do like Predator. I'm just not looking forward to this one, and I think that might be the next review on the channel, unless something crops up maybe this week I need to do a video on. I do not know. I'm still recovering a bit from the festival, if I'm honest. It was very tiring indeed. So yes, that is me rounding out. Do see this film. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.